Most people talk about Valhalla as if it were a northern heaven, a place of comfort, a reward for a life well lived. But if you look at the oldest sources, you find something entirely different, something sharper, something built for danger. And here's the truth. If you imagine Valhalla as a paradise, you lose the meaning the Norse placed on honor and fate. And if you care about Norse ancestry or the old gods, this is the part you cannot afford to misunderstand. Because Valhalla was created for a moment that hasn't happened yet, and everything in it points toward that final day. Over centuries, later writers softened Valhalla into a paradise, a peaceful resting place, a final destination. But the Norse did not build a paradise. They built a fortress on the edge of doom. Valhalla wasn't a shining city in the clouds. It was a fortress surrounded by the signs of war. Valhalla wasn't meant to comfort you. It was meant to harden you. If heaven promises eternal peace, Valhalla promises the opposite, an unending preparation for the most violent day in cosmic history. Before we go deeper, subscribe to Erase Norse Myths if you want the older, harder version of these stories, the version closest to the original sources. The Poetic Edda describes Valhalla as a hall of weapons, spears for walls, shields for a roof, wolves stalking its doors, a serpent coiled above like a living omen. Every detail is a reminder. No one here is finished. Every man in that hall knew he was being shaped for a purpose far larger than himself. The Einherjar, the chosen dead, wake each morning to train in the only way the Norse believed mattered. They fight until they fall, they rise from the ground, and they do it again. Every dawn was a reminder that the day of Ragnarok was drawing closer. This is not rest. This is not ease. This is the crucible that decides the end of the world. Because the day the Gjallarhorn sounds, these warriors will stand beside Odin himself. And most of them know they will not survive it. Only a rare kind of death led to Valhalla. Not noble deeds, not gentle virtue, not piety. Courage at the final moment. That was the price. And even then, only half of the honored dead went to Valhalla. The other half went to Freya in Folkvanger. This division tells you everything. The Norse did not imagine a single destination for all. They imagined a world with many paths, each one shaped by how a person met their fate. To the Norse, your final choice in life mattered more than the years before it. It was the last chance to prove what kind of man you truly were. Valhalla was not a reward, it was recruitment, a final sorting before the last war. When medieval Christian scribes wrote the myths centuries later, the afterlife understandably shifted toward categories they knew. Clearer moral systems, single destinations, paradises and punishments. Over time, Valhalla was reframed as something cleaner, simpler, more familiar, and pop culture finished the transformation. But when you remove the danger, you remove the purpose. Without the danger, Valhalla becomes unrecognizable, a shadow of what the Norse believed. Valhalla only makes sense when you remember the world it was forged for, a world racing toward Ragnarok. Valhalla isn't heaven, it isn't peace, and it isn't where everyone hoped to go. It is a hall of iron made for a single purpose, to prepare the brave for the last stand of the gods. And once you see Valhalla this way, you can't go back to the simplified version. Because the truth is this, Valhalla was never meant to comfort. It was meant to harden, it was meant to sharpen a person's final moments, not erase the cost of courage. This is the version of Valhalla the ancestors would recognize. The version built from iron, not comfort. The version shaped by a world that understood fate, that understood struggle, that understood what it meant to stand when everything else was falling apart. And when you look at the sources with that in mind, the myths change. Not because the stories are different, but because you begin to hear them the way the Norse once did. You begin to see why they believed a person's final breath mattered. Why they believed not all paths were meant for the same people. Why they believed the dead did not need paradise, they needed purpose. And when you see Valhalla this way, you begin to understand the worldview behind it. A worldview built on duty, on courage, on a clear understanding that nothing lasts forever. This is why Valhalla matters today. Not as a reward, not as a fantasy, but as a reminder of how seriously the Old North took life, death, and honor. Understanding this changes how we read the myths, how we understand the ancestors who lived by them, and how we remember the beliefs that shaped the North before the world turned. If you want more deep dives into the old stories, the forgotten gods, and the truths buried beneath 1,000 years of retelling, subscribe to Erase Norse Myths.